us begin with an idea that, what role does partnering really play in the world of a world-class supply chain. And for most world-class supply chains, they think in this interdependence. So rather than independence of each of the different departments or service providers and suppliers, they tend to work far more intimately with them. They tend to have less rather than more. So that second paragraph is about how the number of suppliers that a company engages with has reduced significantly. And one of the measures for that is that the focus is now on the task, the strategic task, rather than the transaction and rather than the price. So it's become a more strategic activity. And just one example, Linfox, I'm aware their strategic intent has been to reduce their customer base over the last 3 years from 300 customers, and they now have less than 100 customers. And that's inferring that they need to work deeper with those 100 customers, and therefore they need to work in some way in a partnering model to enable that relationship and their business. So it's something that's been going on, but one of the challenges for organisations is to establish who to partner with. And then to get the value from that partnering relationship. Okay? And there's an internal challenge, which is how to create the culture that actually enables partnering to blossom. And my work in organisational development and supply chain development sees a very direct link between the types of partnering relationships organisations have and the level of inspirational leadership within those organisations. And if we talk about a third-party logistics provider and a client, I see both sides of that relationship responsible for inspirational leadership. Often it's easier if the client asks the third-party provider to be involved in a partnering relationship, because obviously as the service provider they say yes, but the service provider also needs to work in collaboration and partner with the client. And both sides of that equation are, I believe, responsible for the lack of partnering that goes on. And that's some of the work we're doing. So let's look a little bit more into inspirational leadership. And the reason why is because partnering is not easy, and it's an expensive process, and it's actually not for the faint-hearted. You do need to have some courage to step out of the normal transactional, adversarial relationship to one that's more strategic. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Research tells us that the rewards can be great. And it's partnering, I think, is a reflection of what will become the norm, because we're now living in a very complex, connected world where we can't do everything and we need others to be successful. So this idea of interdependence is becoming more and more critical in organisational life. So as I said, it needs a little bit of courage to step out of what or beyond the norm of polite, transactional, sometimes adversarial relationships. And to do that, you need a measure of inspirational leadership. So to introduce inspirational leadership, what I'm first going to do is just talk about emotional intelligence, because inspirational leadership is one of the 12 competencies detailed in the Hay Group, Daniel Goleman research, and also in the product offer by Hay Group on ESCI, which is Emotional and Social Competence Inventory. And I'm an accredited ESCI person, so I do emotional intelligence with people and develop their emotional intelligence through a range of coaching processes, of which one is inspirational leadership, which I'm sharing today.